Well, regulators are not for profit, and we should regulate these. First of all, just take a step back and think about what AI is. AI is an autonomous system. It's an autonomous system that's it's an autonomous information system. We have a lot of autonomous systems today. Self-driving cars in factories, within factories already exist. Robots are autonomous. Planes are autonomous. Autopilot, self-landing. All of those capabilities exist. We ought to make sure that we apply the first principles of autonomous systems in the same way. We have to design it properly, test it properly, stress test it properly, monitor it. There's inside-out safety, there's outside-in safety, the FAA, flight air traffic control, redundancy, diversity. There's a whole bunch of different systems that we have to put in place for autonomous systems. There's a lot of industries to learn from.
At the beginning of this, I mentioned there's sort of a frenemy situation going on with a lot of companies that use your chips. They're desperate for your chips. They want your GPUs, and at the same time, they're also trying to build their own, frankly. I'm curious, since you've seen it all, how you would stack rank the success of the various companies that are in this AI space. We have somebody from Google DeepMinds here today, their COO. I'm curious where you think OpenAI ranks in that. There's Inflection. Amazon is trying to play in.
I'm not going to rank my friends.
No, but you have a sense of, and part of the question
I'll
is.
admit it, I want to, but I'm not going to do it. No, I'm just kidding.
But there is a question about actually whether all of these things converge. Meaning that does this all become some kind of commoditized business?
No, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have off-the-shelf AIs, and these off-the-shelf AIs are going to be really, really good at solving a lot of problems. But you're going to have companies in healthcare are going to have supervised, super tuned AIs that take these off-the-shelf AIs and make them super good at drug discovery or super good at chip design. And we just use our company, for example. The vast majority of our company's value is in the data and the intelligence and the know-how, the craft that's inside our company. And none of that data is out on the internet. You can't get an AI to go learn it. And so I've got to take a really smart AI, which is what we do. We build a smart AI, and then we teach it how to design chips. We teach it how to write software. You teach it how to do drug discovery. You'll teach it how to do radiology.
Let me ask you a geopolitical question. We're going to hear from the president of Taiwan just after this. And there is a big debate, as you know, about chip independence, the big investment that we're making in chips to manufacture here in the United States, whether we should be exporting certain types of chips to China. Where are we on the journey of being chip independent, if you will? And do you think that that is a worthy goal?
We are somewhere between a decade to 2 decades away from supply chain independence. As I mentioned earlier, our systems comes 35,000 parts, and 8 of them come from TSMC. And the supply chain, when you think through it,
and they're in Taiwan, of course.
There are a lot in Taiwan. They're all over the world, but supply chain independence is going to be really challenging. Yeah, we should try it. We should endeavor it. I mean, we should absolutely go down the journey of it, but total independence of supply chain is not a real practical thing for a decade or 2.
Okay, one of the other things that's happening, as you know so well, is that the U.S. government has effectively told you need to throttle the speed of the chips that you are exporting to China.
Yeah.
This is having an impact on the business itself, but I'm curious how you think about that also geopolitically as a business, the national security concerns. Jamie Dimon, we were talking earlier about, what companies you should do business with. Should you do business with people in China or not, given all of the concerns that people have?
Well, on first principles, we're a company that was built for business. And so we try to do business with everybody we can. On the other hand, our national security matters and our national competitiveness matters. Somewhere between that makes sense. And so our country, of course, wants our industry to on the one hand, be successful, lead the world, invent amazing technology, have technology independence on the one hand, and be the leader of the world in technology on the one hand. On the other hand, we need to make sure that we ensure national security. Our regulations provide for that. the most critical technology that we build, the leading edge of it is not made available to China. And so what we have to do, a new regulation just came out, one that came out a year ago, one just came out this year. And so we have to come up with new chips that comply with the regulation. And once we comply with the regulation, we'll go back to market and do the best.
But do you think the regulation is a good idea? Because I have heard you say that you think potentially by throttling these chips, we are just inspiring and creating competitors in places like China that you can't control.
That's what, look, there are always unintended consequences. Everything that we do in complicated systems, if we want to limit them from access to technology like NVIDIA's, maybe it doesn't really. They find a way to get it, or they find a way to inspire their local industry. There's some 50 companies that are being built in China that are going to go provide this technology. So it's a complicated thing, and so what can you do?
Well, you can make your own choices, but the other thing that's happened literally in the past couple months now is Huawei came out with a new phone.
Yeah.
And it surprised everybody in terms of the chips in that phone. In terms of it being a 7-nanometer chip, there was a view that China was never going to get there. We had this sort of real opportunity ahead of them by many years. Mm-hmm. Were you surprised by that?
The rumors of it in the market has been around for a long time, and so were we surprised? I don't think so. I don't think anybody in the industry was really surprised. And is it possible to take something that said 16 nanometer and shrink it to 7? These are just numbers. Is it really 7? Did they shrink it down to something that was sufficiently good that you can make a phone from? Yeah, I think so. And so I think there's no magic in these numbers, as you know. It's just 7, the number.
But the question is, what is our lead over them, do you think?
In semiconductors?
Yeah.
In semiconductors, call it a decade. You could decide, call it a decade. But could you take the decade-old technology and just squeeze the living daylights out of it until it produces something that's kind of like something from 5 years ago? Yeah, probably. And so I think there's a lot of clever engineers all over the world, and they're trying to get the most out of.
Let me ask you a different company
they have.
There's a company called ASML in the Netherlands that's basically responsible for every chip that everybody makes.
Yeah.
Some people might call them a monopoly. How powerful are they in all of this? And should we be worried about that power?
Well, a lot of people depend on them to build the instrument, and they do build very, very good instruments. And the technology is very complicated. It took a long time for them to build it. There's no reason why they don't want to provide it to the world. And so I'm not sure what the question is, but I'm not concerned. I didn't wake up this morning concerned about ASML. I think they're an excellent provider, and they're motivated to supply to us, and so I think everybody's incentives are aligned.